Breaking news, everyone out there, and thank you so much for tuning in for the very first momentarily the anime segment, which is called the Anime Hour on the Daystar Voyage with your lovely cosplay hostess with the mostest, Miss Kyoko Cane, the space captain queen, and also the melon siren herself, who also debunks all animation and Japanimation media, what we're about to do right now. Thank you everyone, one and all, who I call my superstars, followers, subscribers, for pretty much tuning in and making sure you unlock the topic with a key consistency with me on Japanimation anime, which I have grown up to love all enough, and also finding the flaws and issues and the good and the bad in this video. So thank you very much. Let's blast off. Let's go. Woo! Hello and good evening everyone out there, one and all, or whoever out in the world. Good day or good evening or good night to everyone out there in the world. This is the lovely, beautiful cosplay hostess with the mostest, Miss Kyoko Cane, the space captain, melanin siren herself of the Daystar Voyage, whose pronouns are HBIC because she rules all that every time she steps on the land or the galaxy herself. Now, right about now, thank you so much for tuning in onto this very channel and this brand new video that I have cooked up for y'all, because we're going to be talking about the discussion of anime on the Anime Hour segment. Woo! So I want you Voyagers and Superstars, of which I call my subscribers and fans, to make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and let's talk about the physical media and also the copies of anime and get into anime, aka Japanimation. And thank you so much, because this is going to be such a doozy ever since like growing up looking at all the different art styles and demographics of anime, which we're going to get into the topic of this video right now. And as you know, due to my way of speaking, like we need something like a little bit uplifting, even though we find like the positives of what we love to go to, like watching TV and also our favorite types of media and such, to like what we find to encourage and uplift ourselves, to find happiness in those little things. And yes, I do understand we go to comfort stuff throughout our media, favorite media, vice versa. And I feel like with like AI and also the MAPPA, Netflix takeover, and also Crunchyroll hiking up prices on those digital platforms, and we need to discuss about them, and it feels so great to mass produce basically and consumerize. Consumerism taking a hold. So we're just gonna get to that in a minute in the video. Well, we're gonna be uplifted on this first segment. So let's lock the topic with a key, consistency with me, and also let's have a good time. Let's do this. Woo! Now, as a person who loves Japanimation anime and first discovering at a very young age during like my elementary school, do you know that the very first times like having to like go to like EB Games and Babbage's before it was known as the consumerized oh, and also my favorite pastime of going to like Books A Million and Barnes & Noble, checking out the niche titles that you see right here, and also checking out the mini titles of certain demographics that we're about to discuss. Japanimation such as like Outlaw Star, Sailor Moon, and also freaking got me some nostalgic, and also pretty much basically anything that I could get my hands on. Those are the two that I pretty much find intriguing, especially Inuyasha too as such. And I didn't know anything about it as time goes along, and didn't know that it was basically from like out of the country, which is also known as anime itself, along with Astro Boy, which also we can find on Adult Swim late night, along with Yu Yu Hakusho too also. I was pretty much so enamored and just captivated and so like bewildered by so much of the great talent and also the animation that pretty much came along the way. And also I started at a very young age, started collecting like some of the manga, as you can see from this picture right here, so on in the video. I am so thankful just to be able to see like all of it in full like effect, and also collecting like so many different demographics that pretty much catered to my needs, because normally I was such a big fan of a shonen until like I kind of like at least like found like what I could pretty much digest and have a healthy media diet of what I'm going to like watch 24/7. And I chose like the demographic called shoujo and josei, which is like geared towards girls and women, because you get to see so much of like the characters that grow in their own, and also be able to be who they truly are in like the real slice of life situations, without like the fantasy and the action and the drama getting in the way, even though there's a little bit of drama at certain times. Why I say this, because every time I used to get off from school, then like from like middle or high school, I used to get off of homework basically after I done finished my homework, which y'all kids should be doing, and also go watch like either just Peach Girl, Hell Girl, or Aquarion, or freaking dang Honey and Clover, or like Digimon from Jetix to the Toon Disney lineup, which is also really good. And also been such like captivated, so like enamored, just like I really had like a shred of happiness of like what I'm going to watch 24/7. And I just chose those because they made me feel so happy about it. Being like from the characters, how they're drawn, and also the style of the animation, and also the fluid like dub and sub. And also on this channel, I'm also a dub watcher before I'm like a sub watcher by any day. But if I like something that's really much in for me, be it from like slice of life or action, and also any genre, etc., or any demographic, I go with dubbing as always, and then I check it out with like sub in case like I really fall in love with it. Just to let y'all know, because I'm usually like a dub watcher before I'm a sub watcher. But if I like the anime and like the dub, I'll go right to the sub just to watch it like 24/7 back and forth. Because I watch a lot of like my childhood like animes dub and sub, because they pretty much put a chokehold and also made me feel so like alive when I watch these shows and look back at like the writing and the depth of the characters and finding like the nuances and the closure within like certain characters that we fall in love during like a young age and when we first started watching like anime or just animation, even you for that matter. And it affects us all to the point where like, you know, nostalgia. But I do like feel like as soon as we get to the nostalgia topic in the future video, I do feel like at certain times nostalgia puts a hold on us, because like we want to go back to those things in which like, we love. And that's why we got so many like anime titles and also Western animated titles being remade and rehashed just to like make money and just to be able to just like get upon that and understand about what we need to start going to like new territory. Because why I say this, because like in today's world we feel like we're getting fed to like much more of like shonen demographic more than ever, because the stuff in our faces about knowing about the different demographics such as shoujo for girls, josei for women, and also seinen for men, because we never find like anything that's like a big three towards like the demographics that I just pronounced right there, except for shonen, because that very demographic has been pretty much pushed forward just to make money off of the anime industry 24/7 throughout, except for like from shoujo geared for girls and also josei geared for women and seinen for men, because we need those demographics just to like tell which is which. Because why I say this, because there's one time where I walked into like a Books a Million, which like a fan was walking just to get like a manga for a kid, and they saw like the most promiscuous like character on the book, which is like I think it was called Nagatoro manga, I think, about the blue hair girl was like dressed half naked on the cover, and she found it very inappropriate for like a kid to even see as such. And I agree with her, because we need to find like what belongs to like what demographic and what kids are either preteens or teenagers watch nowadays. It's becoming really detrimental how we see anime in like the Western audience today right now. And it didn't felt like that back in the day, because like we found like so many when anime in Japan, aka Japan animation, was pretty much geared towards Western animation during like the early 2000s and also the 90s and 80s. We saw like the many demographics that was geared towards as such, and some were popular and some were not. Just to, like make, because we wanted to see like the next big thing was going to be taken off, which is like going to be like the most popular thing, which is going to be like the most utmost like thing to be able to just like get a hold of. And I feel like in today's world, like it's become much more like, I would say it has its good and bad, because that's what we're going to talk about in this video in a moment. It had like this good, when it's pretty much it brought together a whole community of people into which like we were just vibing before like the days. I'm talking about the days of like social media in like the past of early 2000s and like the 90s and the 80s, before it was like pretty much niche, and it was like basically more underground. You see like the most VHA classic topics about how anime was pretty much being distributed in like the underground scene, and also it was like so hard to get like the blockbusters or also the Hollywood movies, rental store, video game stores, and such, vice versa. And you get to see so many like these great titles that we never heard of not being talked about today, that pretty much paved the way towards the anime right about now. And there are some good titles that are pretty much being remade that were like previously back in the day, such as like Ronin Warriors, aka Samurai Troopers, or Rama 1.5, and also pretty much dang Honey and Clover, and also Card Captors. Card Captors is pretty much remade, and also Ronin Warriors, and also Rama, which I'm so glad for. However, it's just those main titles that pretty much people know because like they're the most popular as such. And Honey Clover is pretty much like a niche one, because like it's basically a shoujo, because shoujo is not as revered as such in the Western audience back in the Western animation. However, it's pretty much more celebrated in like Japan, because it had like it's a live action remake that pretty much did so well, and to capture it more. And it kind of breaks my heart. There's certain titles back in the day that didn't make it, or that didn't get like a dubbing because people of the Western audience didn't feel like they found it a lot more better to like be able to view it as the most popular thing ever. Why I say this is because Magical Doremi was pretty much started in like 4Kids TV that basically had like a really great audience, but however it pretty much effed up the whole dubbing because they talk about so many topics about towards A word and also family issues and also topics about pretty much what's been going on in the world nowadays, but it's been dumbed down for like kids to just like talk about though. Because let me tell you, anime is no stranger to just like making sure like the audience or the viewers feel dumbed down. Like you have to talk to them like a preschool level just to get like a certain scene and whatnot. Because they'll give you like pretty much a heel face turn and also kick you with a boot just to like with it. But unlike today's modern anime, which is like all about like a seizure light show with like action anime and also dramas, which I don't normally watch though, because it takes like a pretty much like a one step at a time for me to get to it though. Because I kind of like my stuff towards like a seinen and shoujo and josei manner for such and for like slice of life in general. And why I say this because like honestly I'm just like pretty much just like want like an anime in which like it wants to be niche nowadays until like it wasn't too globalized to the point where like people could just like latch onto it like social media and find like the popular be like basically the high school table and like if you watch like certain anime that's like for girls then you're not welcome to it, or watch like certain shonen and it's like you're welcome to the table to be popular just like to be like everybody else, which I'm gonna get down to in a minute. But yeah, I'm so like able to just like be in like my own lane, just like watch what I want to watch because it gets me like a really much cool like an open-minded and open eye towards like what we can like digest at certain occasions, and also what we can or cannot watch and what we can take in at certain times. Because with like shoujo and josei titles, it made me like open up to what a woman or a girl feels. Because as you can see, I've been painting up 24/7 in my videos because no one's stopping for cosplaying or also doing drag as like myself as a woman, also gender fluid person. I do feel like it opened up to my for the perspective of like the women viewer as I do with like towards seinen, which I also mostly watch, which is like basically geared towards men. I'm gonna give y'all some nice titles in case like y'all want to watch these shows on the description. Also the links towards the numerous beautiful channels I can recommend on demographics and such too, which I forgot to get to the video. But I'm so grateful to do part of this anime segment, and now we're gonna get down to the second part of this video, which I talked previously about the many demographics on the intro part of my video. If y'all are listening, I'll just backtrack for y'all, put a timestamp. But yeah, pretty much the demographics towards like shonen for boys, seinen for men, and also for girls. There's a shoujo for girls, and also women for josei. Yes, I do feel like we're like basically straying away from like the good message of what is basically like anime nowadays in like the West, because like I said, it was such a niche time back in like the early 2000s and also the 90s and the 80s, to the point where like people actually like pay attention to like what's for like kids or teens or any other age demographic, to the point where like people could be able to like digest like what we're watching, and not in like the days without the days of basically social media, to the pretty much like we don't see like action anime nowadays as like a seizure like light show and so much things like going on with like the story and characters and such. And we finally had like a focus to like the characters such as like from the 90s, like past generation stuff, like the 90s and the 80s stuff, like I said previously, to like get to know like all the characters, and not everybody else was like shoved into the background, or like every last character could be able to just like flourish on their own basically. And it felt such like, I feel like we're missing some of the good times and the good elements of what anime is nowadays, because everything is like so pumped out towards like everything has to be like the know-how and the now, what's up, what's like new, what's like going on in today's like modern like audience of what it is right now. And I say modern audience loosely because like, let me tell you now, there's certain things within like the whole deal with like MAPPA and Netflix collaborating, and also Warner Brothers being bought out by Netflix, vice versa, that's going down. And I feel like that's going to be such a like really awful thing when it comes down to like how Netflix has been treating like the shows by I can't even fathom it. But yeah, and top of all that, don't get me started with how Crunchyroll has been pretty much prioritizing more of the shonen demographic with like the banners and also the promotions, instead of like shoujo and josei, because I feel like people nowadays don't see like shoujo and josei as much more revered. And because why I say this, because we don't even have a big three for like shoujo and josei, and it just feel like it's like a big slap in the face towards like, the artists back in Japan, because like we feel like we're just eating ourselves like the same content over and over and not finding anything new, or even trying like having like a better media diet of what we absorb. But it's just like come to the point where like people are not being so like not in depth of like what anime truly is all about, because it's not just about like action and shonen itself. It comes in many varieties and colors, and also many demographics, as we see if you can like see from like your library or like a bookstore, or find like really niche, like finding niche websites such as the ones down below called Manga Dex and also Anime News Network, which tells about the many demographics that cater towards them. And it's like absolutely just like deplorable how we just fall off like the plot of like what is like anime nowadays in Japanimation, because there are so many great titles that we need to be able to watch right about now to give like so much praise towards like the Japan artists and authors that pretty much work their behinds off just to be able to get like good content to the waist, so we won't be able to waste their money and also their time, not like pretty much bothering it, just like watching just shonen and that's about it. Because like I said, anime and Japanimation comes in many types of forms and it's so nuanced, which I'm going to be talking about that word right now in my next video coming soon. But let me know down in the comment section below when you subscribe to this channel and whatnot, because there's so much like great titles that didn't get put into the West that didn't even get like dubbed or sub because of how niche and pretty much they were not getting like paid attention to. Because as you see here, I have gotten a whole collection of shoujo and josei just to show like a lot of love towards the demographic, and I felt like it's doing like a lot more good because we see it like trending throughout social media in small places. We see it trending throughout many platforms, vice versa, and it feels so refreshing to see like a whole art form and demographic that's so timeless be like praised a lot more nowadays, because we're seeing a great recurrence of shoujo and josei titles being getting a season 2 and also being like loved towards like a niche audience, such as like myself too, and also any other else on the comment section down below. If you think so too, let's comment and discuss it. Such as like the great A Star Brighter Than the Sun, also Honey Lemon Soda, and Firefly Wedding, which is also being released for like season 2. Also Firefly Wedding, which is also new, coming up in October 26th. And I also have a video on discussing about the anime dubbing cast in mind coming up soon, which I'm so glad to get in topic with. But right about now, we're going to get to the conclusion of this video. So hoping that we can allot the topic with a key on consistency with me on the comment section down below, or what you think about the anime segment right about now, and also how it's pretty much been coming niche now. Now, I'm not saying that shonen is something that I dislike or anything, but I'm saying that we should have like a different media diet of what we absorb and watch nowadays, because it's so like shonen that's pretty much being geared towards like boys in general, because it's just a boy demographic to the point where everything has just become so ultraviolet, so seizure induced, to the point where like the visuals and also the characters are just like moving in such an unpredictable way and not in such a fluidity that's been on repeat like 24/7. We need something to be able to like capture and gain. Like basically what I'm saying is it's basically, it has no soul and no depth of what's missing in certain areas and such. And even though like we're doing a good job to like making anime branch out a lot more, but I feel like it's gonna come to the point where like, it's gonna break the camel's back, to the point where like we're just being shoehorned so much stuff due to like be it from shonen or remakes of like certain past anime and also Western animation 24/7 throughout. And I don't know how this like Warner Brothers deal with like Mappa is going to shape up to, because there's one pretty much basically issues and flaws. Even though like Netflix has been doing a good job of distributing certain animes and also Japanimation titles as such, I do see like many flaws with like them trying to compete towards like Crunchyroll, which is also another company that has many issues and flaws how they promote their other niche anime, which I'm so grateful for them for Crunchyroll now being promoting much more like the shoujo and josei, but there's still a lot more work to be done with like those both companies, vice versa. And even though I'm just like repeating myself 24/7, because it's so much like going on with the world with entertainment media that we need to just like have it digested towards. And like I said previously, I've been started collecting, just enlightening myself towards like the old retro and vintage stuff, especially supporting like physical media, which we all should be doing right about now, because the digital age, I feel like we're gonna have a great recession, to the point where like, y'all remember that one episode of The Simpsons where like the whole millennial bug took over, and anything like digitally or also technologic product malfunctioning, we're gonna go to that time in which like pretty much we're gonna start like going back to the physical copies, etc. Like you see from like the news networks and everything else. And I feel like we're doing a good job with that because of how basically everything's becoming so expensive nowadays, be it from groceries and also basic things and necessities that we could be able to just like live on. And everything's so hiked up with prices, be it from like digital media and such. And I feel like that's not gonna last long, like I said, for the millennial bug issue that came from The Simpsons, because that was a woozy of an episode. But yeah, I started collecting physical copies and felt like so invigorated, so alive just to watch them on repeat. And even got myself a little PS4, which also I pretty much started watching like my old DVDs and such, and also stuff like movies, vice versa. And I felt like I felt so alive and enlightened and invigorated, just like see all my physical media just like be kept in mind because ever since I bought them now. And as you can see from like eBay and also any website you can just shop online, you see like the price hikes and everything else. But let me know what you can think about the whole issue about anime and where it's at right now, either from the good, the flaw, and also its many issues. And thank you so much for like enjoying myself on this voyage, because I really do want to be able to just like give awareness of like what's been going on with the world, because we deserve great content, and also basically like how anime needs to be come back to the old age in which like to the point where like it needs to be underground and niche now, because it's gone to the point where like, they're trying to make it global for like MAPPA and Netflix, which is going to be like a detriment and a flaw of how pretty much Netflix treated its business and such. Sure, it may be a good competitor towards like Crunchyroll, which is going to come down to like versus fighting out this year of the best streaming platform. But what about the physical copies that we pretty much all know and love and near and dear, and we hold on, and also keeping our property and not giving money towards it too, but make sure to give limited money. Just choose wisely of what we can watch and do it what we buy nowadays. That's it for our segment right about now, and I'm hoping that we could be able to discuss a lot of the topic with a key and sip some tea down on the comment section down below. And if the digital age just happens to just crash down, make sure to support indie animation and support physical media as much as possible. And also make sure to tell me about your favorite pastime on anime and your favorite anime that you're watching currently right now. Thank you for blasting off.